Hello and welcome to Breaking 100, with some inside the mind lessons and tips on how I've gotten all the way from breaking 100 down to breaking 80. So first tip that I think is massively important is all about controlling the mind. We need to understand that bad shots will happen and our goal is to mitigate them. So that all starts with our tee shot. We want to hit the club that you feel will give you the closest desired distance with lowest percentage of fear and or failure. Having a go-to club will help us dramatically here. For example, a 7-iron or a 6-iron. A club with decent distance off the tee, but in return will fill us with confidence that we can hit it fairly well and straight. So tip 1 is having a go-to safe tee shot. This will vary from golfer to golfer, of course, so choose the right club for you that fits that criteria. Doing this will in turn ease the mind both of stress and fear, thus amplifying our confidence. Now before tip number 2, I want to show you how I play this par 5, and that's going to be the next hole. Got ourselves a bogey here. So here we are at the par 5, and I like using my driver because I'm fairly confident with it. I've had a good amount of practice, and I get a nice draw out of it. This is a dogleg right, so I'm aiming right over the tree line just to let it draw back into the fairway. And we ripped it. Nice shot here. This next shot is what I really want to focus on though. I have 220 yards away from the green, and I usually can reach this with a 4-iron, but instead of doing that, I want to mitigate the errors, getting a slice, topping it, things like that. So I'm going to hit a shorter shot just to get a chip onto the green. This is a par 5, so I'm going to use a 6-iron. I get a nice little fade here. It wasn't too dramatic, so I know for sure I'm going to have a chip for the green, and that's something that I did that alleviated my stress by just dropping down the club from a 4 to a 6. So here I'm just trying to get the ball on the green with my chip. I'm not really trying to get close to the pin. I'm obviously trying, but all I want is to get on the green and have a putt. I got a pretty decent shot here. I'm not stressing about trying to force it in there, just want to get it as close to the hole as possible. Almost went in. Tap in for par. And it was all because of those small decisions that I altered. I don't know why my driver shot didn't come out here, but I faded it pretty hard, and we're still in play though. Got away with that one, so we're just gonna lace this one into the green here. Well, moving on to tip number 2 is changing the way we see par. That's what I did in the last hole. If you're trying to break 100, just add 1 stroke to every par. Now, what do I mean by this? Every time we get a bogey, that's a par for us. We're trying to break 100, not 80. So this is something that changed the game for me, because now in a par 3 we have 4 shots, so par 4s are 5 shots, par 5s are 6 shots. Just think of how much pressure that alleviates, hence feeling more confident, and we lower our scores like that. So on the holes where we actually do get a par, we gotta celebrate, because that's exactly what we're looking for. And if we do that, just watch the scores drop. Here we're at another par 5, and I messed up my tee shot, so it's good just to look at the errors and the things that I do to adjust them. So I hit a really low fade here, and luckily it rolled up and was just inside of bounds. So I get a 56. I wanted to just get over these trees. I didn't want to mess around and try to go for the green or try to get a really long distance here. I just want to set myself up a little bit better. And I faded it again. So these are 2 bad shots back to back that are still in play, but they can be frustrating. I just calmed down. I'm 160 yards away from the green here. I hit an 8-iron. Faded it a 3rd time. This is where your mind really needs to start just locking in and not thinking about your past shots, because that can really mess with you and start adding up and building up those scores. Now for this final piece of footage, I had somebody who wanted to play along with me, so I let them, and it was really windy that day and my phone fell down, so I couldn't get the footage of the chip or the putt, but we chipped and we 2-putted. So we ended with a bogey, which is exactly what we just talked about. No problem, no pressure. So tip number 4 is going to be our clubs, because honestly, to break 100, you don't need distance. And I'm going to say that again, you do not need massive distance. And this goes back to seeing the holes as having that 1 extra shot. So what do we need? We need a solid tee shot that can travel minimum about 130 to 160 yards. We are going to need a club that can do that. And that's going to depend from golfer to golfer. It could be a pitching wedge, could be an 8-iron, and that doesn't matter. Just choose the shot that fits those metrics off the tee. So when you see your buddies and they start pulling out a driver, ready to aim for the trees or the water because they're going to slice or they're going to hook, Don't be ashamed to pull out an iron and be safe on the fairway and in play. Tip number 5 here is going to be learning to be cold as ice. We're going to have bad holes, but what do we do after? That's what changes everything. When you mess up, forget it instantly. I know it's difficult. I still have those rage moments when the phantom slice comes out of nowhere, but after I have my fit, I forget about it and just reset for the next shot. This is hole 7, and this is a perfect example of one of those rage moments. I was really feeling it after this tee shot. I get a slice off of it, and I end up getting the distance I want, but I am way off the green. It's a par 3, so I'm definitely frustrated. You can see me taking a few extra swings there trying to figure out what's going on. Now here I'm just going to try to get it on the green, not thinking too much about it, and it comes up short. So here's another moment where you really just gotta forget about that shot and move on to the next one. Here I chip again, and I don't leave myself for a tap-in. But even like that, I'm not trying to go at this hole. I'm trying to just hit a nice clean putt that's gonna get me close enough for a tap-in, which we do. And we gotta walk away from here with that double bogey and just take our medicine on this hole. But this is one of those moments where you gotta just forget it and move forward. So going back to the previous points we've made or talked about, let's just look at how I wiggle out of here with a bogey after playing pretty bad. So I hit a shot and it goes very low, almost went in the water, but I got lucky, hit the cart path, rolled up, and now I got myself a wedge shot into the green. So I'm already frustrated about that, but I told myself, you know what, just get this ball on the green or close to it. And we ended up getting the ball on the green. So just forgetting that first tee shot, focusing on that wedge shot, and we got the ball on the green. So now we're just gonna try to putt it and see where it takes us from here. So let's look at this putt. We come up short, and we gotta just make this one to get a par. So there's no stress involved. We're trying to get a bogey. So I missed the second putt for par, tap in for bogey. Now, obviously, I play a little bit more on the trying to break 80 side, but sometimes we're going to have those off days. And this is one of those days where the wind was really kicking up, I was struggling, and a bogey is good here. We don't want to really go off the rails. So we're here at hole 9. It's our final hole. And again, we're playing that safe game that we were talking about. We're just trying to take a shot that's straight, doesn't have to be on the green. I underjudged this one a little bit, came up a little bit short. And that's okay. We're going in for the chip. We have 3 shots left because we're trying to get a bogey to break that 100 mark. I get a chip off and I'm on the green. So stress has dropped. Now we can 2-putt this and walk away with that bogey. Taking away that stress that we're keep on talking about. I'm going to keep on stressing that. We just can't be locking ourselves into every little mistake we make. We're shooting for bogeys. And if we're constantly worried about what our players are thinking, our friends are thinking, it's gonna eat us alive out there on the course and give us worse scores than what we could have potentially gotten. That'll be it for this video, guys. If y'all would like to see a more in-depth breakdown on how to break 100, let me know in the comments, as well as liking and subscribing. And thank you to everyone who enjoyed this video. If it was any help, please let me know, and have fun out there. See y'all later.